Okay, so what I want to spend the rest of this time on is the concept of taking responsibility for your actions, behaviors, and attitudes and thoughts. So the question is, how do you teach it? Can it be taught? The first thing I'm going to tell you, yes, it can be taught. How to teach it is what we're going to work on. So here's the first thing I want you to do. We don't have pink and yellow cards, red cards on there. We're just going to do it this way. This table, this table, this table, and this table. You know who you are? Okay. I want you to be yellow or pink. I want the rest of you to be red or blue. And here's what I want you to do. So you guys, I want you to list examples of students taking responsibility. So just quick write down, what's a responsible student look like? What do they do when I say, oh yeah, that's being responsible? You guys get to do the other one. List examples of students not taking responsibility. So just one person can write them down, quick, shout them to your neighbors. I like that. I like that. And you could do it in Portuguese. That's okay.
And you will understand.
No, I won't.
You know, about this thing about responsibility, it's very strange to hear about that, because that's what Catholic priests teach us about responsibility, and everybody learns how to skip responsibility.
Yes.
So there is a major culture of trying to avoid responsibility. That thing of the priests. So you are an evangelical.
Yes, yes. I'm going to convert you. I'm going to convert you. But we're going to do it in a secular way.
Okay.
We're going to be engineers about this. All right. Very good, very good. Okay, remember, whenever we do this exercise, I only give 30 seconds. If it's a more difficult problem, 40 seconds. Is there anyone who does not ask questions to the students? Everybody does that, right? How many people, different people, answer those questions? Or is it the exact same people? Why do you bother asking? Here's the other one. When you walk into class, tell me if this is not a common thing that you do. You walk into class, and I go, okay, I get everybody's attention, and I go, okay, any questions? Is that what you hear too? Yeah. Why do you do it?
Because sometimes they do have questions. Sometimes.
I agree with you, but let's pay attention to this person. What's your name?
Celeste.
Celeste. Let's keep an eye on Celeste, all right? Please speak up as you feel free, okay? If you'll notice, I call it picking on people. And so with your permission, I will pick on you, okay? And I always ask, but I also often start off with something that's a little humorous, and you'll see me suddenly get serious. What I'm actually asking students to do is switch from the quick answer to the thoughtful and honest answer. And that is very difficult for students to do. But if you do this enough, they will start to change and be more honest with you as to what their issue is, what's going on. We'll get more into that in a minute. Okay, so let's have from the back of the class, give me some, you guys are taking responsibility. This time say it in English, please. Or Spanish, either one.
To be on time?
Be on time, yeah. To go to your classes, like duh.
paying attention? Or
Pay attention. Like, yeah. What do you guys have?
Schedule study for the different tests and.
So some time management with your tests. Make sure that you have the time to do all the work. Yeah. What do you guys have?
Delivering the papers on time, the work.
Turning in assignments on time. Yeah.
Another one is start doing the assignment as soon as you get it.
So actually, do work effectively. In other words, you're saying a responsible student would do it in chunks, get started right away, especially in case they have a problem. They still have time to deal with it. And also it's more effective because you could review it and all those kinds of things.
If they don't start doing it, at least plan to do it. No?
Start doing it. Let's just have them start doing it.
Okay. Yes.
I agree with you. Planning to do it, if it's good time management, is most people planning to do it, I'm procrastinating. But I'm planning on doing it. Okay, how about the people who are list not taking responsibility? Can we just go not to all of their ideas? Yeah, somebody give me some things students not taking responsibility. I'm going to jump back here.
Missing classes, lack of punctuality, missing assignments. And
Can we start with that first one? Missing class and not telling the instructor they're not going to be there. Missing class and then going to the instructor and saying, hey, here's the usual. Did we do anything important? No, nothing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's not important to me, dude. It may be important to you because it's going to be on the test, but no, we didn't do anything important. But then they say, well, can you tell me what we did? I'm going, I spent an hour and a half telling you what we did. Okay. We all get this. We all get this. It's in our face all the time. But one of the issues is, yes, students do know often that I'm not taking responsibility, but they often think they are. It's just not the same idea of responsibility we have. So this is what we just talked about, unexcused absence. They didn't tell me. In my class, they have to tell me if they're going to be absent. And then they want me to bring them up to speed. In my class, if they did not email me in advance, the answer is no, I won't. But you're welcome to get it from a friend of yours. And then if you have any questions, let me know. But, and it's, anything like that is in my syllabus. It's written down, here's what you have to do. All right, missing tests and informing instructor some later date. This is akin to, I have a job, I didn't show up, and next week I'll tell the boss I didn't show up. I was sick. Asking for extra credit at the end of the semester because my grades are low. But they've been missing assignments, classes, labs throughout the semester. I mean, this student thinks, I know some students who do this, actually think they're now being responsible. It's just not consistent with our idea. So I think it's important to clarify, why is there this discrepancy between faculty and students? Yes, there's age. Yes, there's maturity. But that's not all of it. I think there's something else. We are highly successful in higher education. PhDs are the 5%. But there's something else. I maintain that most of us who got advanced degrees did very well in college. Yes, we're smart, but we are a good fit for that educational style. We learn well in that environment. There are many, many, many people who do not learn well in our higher education system or our education system at all, but would be excellent engineers if we can get that stuff into their head. So we are different than the students. So who are the majority of the students? Who are most of the students? They are not the next generation faculty. They are not like us. How many of us routinely will say things like, look, I had to do that. I always did. We are not them. So this gets to have three tenets, three ideas, that if we would implement these three ideas, we could radically improve higher education. Okay, so take a deep breath. Hold on to your seat. Number one, with very rare exception, we are not qualified for our job. How many of you in your university, when you were going through, you learned how to teach? Where's your training in teaching? Some of us made a point of going out and getting training. What was your research area? Or what were you trained in when you went to university?
When I went in computer science engineering.
Computer science. What was your, yeah, but specifically, what was your field?
Microprocessors.
Microprocessors. What was your field?
I don't remember anymore.
I don't remember anymore. Now here's the guy, let's ask this guy. We're not going to be able to understand what this guy says, but go ahead, what was your...
Civil engineering.
Oh, no, I was after your mathematics. What was yours?
Geology.
Geology. Can somebody point to me the education major? The person whose training when they went through university was in education. We are all trained to be researchers in our field. And then suddenly, remember when I started and you all laughed? My advisor for PhD said, oh, if you know the material well, you will be a good teacher. And you all laughed. We're all laughing at ourselves. But here's a good thing. Number two, there are simple techniques we can use that are very easy to learn, and many of us have spent the time to learn these, that we can implement in our classes that will improve student learning. Very simple, this think, share, pair works very well. The third one relates to this. The students who are sitting in front of me, they're the ones I have to teach. Not some fictitious group that if only they were better prepared in math, if only they would come to school on time, if only they would do, and then you can fill in the blanks. I routinely hear faculty, oh, the problem is that in high school, you know what high school is? Yeah, in high school, they didn't teach them. I'm going, yeah, that has nothing to do with the problem. The problem is you won't admit that's the group you have to teach. You're not going to change the high schools. So if we would just do this, number one, and we are half qualified. We know the material. Then it's up to us to get the training. Number two, there are simple pedagogical techniques we can implement that don't cost much to me. They take no more time in class because I already ask questions to the only student who answers them. And then the third one, this is the group I have to teach, figure out a way to do it. Okay. Where do students get their training in being responsible? Oh, shoot. What's your name again? Susan. We all are going to go to her parents' house and she's going to teach us. Where did you get your training? from your parents, maybe religion. Did anybody get high quality responsibility training in primary, secondary, or university? Many people told you what they wanted you to do, but they didn't tell you how to go about doing it. Let's look at behaviors, K through 12. You all know what that means, kindergarten to 12th grade. So, how many students there are really good at talking their way out of problems? I didn't turn in my homework. Oh, come on, can I do this? And what I do is, what's your name? Deborah. So, I know Deborah. Deborah, I can tell her a sad story and make her cry. So I know what to say to her, so she'll go, oh, okay. She doesn't want to say that. She wants to say no, but she doesn't. Is that true? It's true. So, Deborah, this is an opportunity for you, if I can, yeah, it's an opportunity for you to hold up a mirror and say, wow, I do that. And then say it again with conviction. I do that. That's awareness. The next question is, do you want to do something about it or not? You still may not know how to make the change. But being aware of what you want to change is critical to making change. You can't make effective change unless you really know what is the issue. And we're going to tie that to fundamental engineering. Okay, take a deeper breath. We're the ones who train our students to not be responsible. We let them get away with it. Does that mean we have to be very mean and hard? No. It means we need to come up with a method, and that's what this is going to be about. All right, so the story, the takeaway, the lesson is for students, what do they learn? Have a good story. Know who to go to that is most likely going to let you get away with it. Do you go to mom or do you go to dad when you want to do something neither of them want you to do? Okay. So, here we go. All right. We all have this idea of when we all right, let me back up. We all decide when a student is being responsible or not. So here's what I want you to do. How do you decide? What's your method? So write down your method. Go ahead and you can do this. If you want to do it in groups, that's fine, but you all have your own. You all make these decisions all the time. What's your method? How do you decide? So I'm going to help you out. There's paper. Here's a pen. We all do this. Ask yourself, what's our method? What's the criteria? How do we decide? What criteria do we use to say, you're not being responsible? You're not taking responsibility. You can write it in Portuguese. You can talk in Portuguese. You don't have to talk in English. Okay. All right. To save time, we're not going to exchange them. But I would like somebody, I'll ask for volunteers here, somebody who wants to give me their method. Somebody just tell me. Yeah.
I give an assignment with some rules and assess if they accomplish the work on time and following my rules.
So this is a rules-oriented method of determining if you're taking responsibility. Do not get me wrong. Do not mistake this. Rules are very, very important. Boundaries, very, very important. But I'm going to ask you, what happens when the student does something that the rules don't cover?
Normally, I assess them positively.
Even though they may not be taking responsibility, I give them it's called the benefit of the doubt. We call that the benefit of the doubt.
Because it was my fault, because it was not covered by my rules.
So, when we were in
He was creative.
when we were in Italy, a professor she's in Porto. Her name's Marina Duarte. So we're in this group, and there's this guy from Russia, and he was a rules-oriented. This is how you tell if somebody's taking responsibility. And I asked that question. He says, "That cannot happen. We always have a rule." And then he started explaining how they have this matrix, flow charts that interweave, and if it's not a yes, no, you go to this, you go over here, and on and on. And he went on, and we're all just like looking at him going, "That's amazing, but I would never want to live there." So rules-oriented. Somebody else. Behaviors, tell me what you're thinking. All right, this is something else I do frequently. A student will tell me something, and I will say, "Tell me what you're thinking." Because I need students to learn to communicate more effectively. The short answer was not enough. It could be many possibilities, so I want to know. Tell me what you're thinking.
Being respectful, being on time.
Okay. Being on time is a rules-oriented thing. Being respectful. What does that mean? Now, this comes back to ethical behaviors. We'll get to attitude in a minute. Ethical behavior. Ethics is whether or not you follow the norms, the rules of your society. If you follow them, you're ethical. If you don't, they're unethical. But I remember having a faculty in my department was from India. And I did this unique thing in a laboratory. And the students did it, a laboratory. And about 4 months later, this student came to me and said, "Dr. Shull, could you give me more information about that laboratory?" And I thought, "Oh, this student's really interested. This is great." And all of a sudden I go, "What do you want to know? Why do you want to know?" "Well, Professor so-and-so wants me to write a paper about it." In his world, that was okay. In our world, that would be called plagiarism or stealing somebody's idea. So these are not universal. So we run into a gross problem, especially with younger people and older people. We have a great difference. Could you ever swear, use bad words, in front of your parents? Most of us know. Do people do it today? A lot more frequently. So that changes. It's not, it changes. So it's a problem. We don't have the same ones, and it changes even within our own culture. So what happens is, I want to do this now. Now you would exchange and we'd look at them. Is it clear? Being a college student with K through 12 training, the rules-oriented, the ethics-oriented, let's see if it works. Is the definition clear? The ethics is not clear. The rules tend to be very clear. But do you think if you're good at this, you've got good K through 12 training, do you think you could talk your way through those rules? Could I make you feel guilty? Could I make you just feel compassionate? I want that empathy going on. So you feel, oh yeah, and you go, oh okay. Or you get a person who just keeps talking, and finally, just to get them out of your office, You say, okay. And you might be hard. You say, but I'm going to reduce the points. But that isn't what the rule said. The rule said no. Remember, go back to that thing? We train them to do this. All right, so I'm going to argue that often many people's ideas are not even clear to themselves once they start looking at it a lot more clearly. So we're going to change up an activity that we were going to do one way, but I've got some student volunteers who are going to do this, and you are going to be observers and paying attention to what they're doing. Do you all speak English pretty well? No, you can do it in Portuguese. Do it in Portuguese. That's better. Come on. Come on over here. I need you over here. So what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to tell you what to do, but then have the conversation in Portuguese. Okay. So it's a lot easier for you. Okay. Here's the deal. What I want you to do is we have an assignment, a team assignment, and you divide it up. You type up some of it, you type up some, and you type up some. It's 1 hour before class. And you're going to bring them here and staple it together and turn it in. Okay, so here's the problem. He didn't do it. We don't know if he did it, because he's not going to admit it, but he doesn't have it.
Okay.
And at first the way it's going to start is I'll explain it to them, and you guys just go, well, here's mine, and you go, well, and here's what I want you to do. Keep making excuses. So just make up excuses. Well, my computer was down. My mom was giving me a hard time. My girlfriend, broke up with me. So just keep slowly making excuses.
My dog ate you.
Yeah, my dog ate the homework concept. And you guys keep yelling at him, complain about him, blame. You always do this. I don't even know why I'm on a team with you. This is terrible. When was the last time you did anything? You're worthless, and just keep complaining about, right. Whatever you do not solve the problem.
Okay.
Do not ever say anything. And you can even turn it around eventually, after it goes on a while, and say, yeah, well, you guys know what I'm like. You guys should have done my part. And now you turn it around on them.
Okay.
Okay, you guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and sit up front, grab your chairs, and I'll just tell them the scenario, and then I'll go, you're on. And then you just start saying, okay, here's my part, and then you go. And then yeah. Okay, and you can actually get out of your seat because you get angry at them, Okay. All right, so here's the scenario. These students are on a team. We have teamwork, and they're doing what a lot of students do. They divide the work. She's doing one part, another part. It's 1 hour before class when it's due. And so they're meeting to get their parts, staple it together, and hand it in. Okay? And you're on.
Falta 1 hora para nós entregar no sítio. O que nós vamos fazer?
Todos os dias na faculdade, já estamos há uma semana a trabalhar nisto, mas agora dizer. Eu já nem sei o que quero fazer esses trabalhos
Acabamos sempre por ficar contigo, é sempre a mesma história, estamos sempre a dar-te outra oportunidade.
Passou assim, não consigo fazer trabalho.
Então, mas agora o que é que vamos fazer? Falta 1 hora, temos que entregar isto tem que estar entregue. Quer dizer, mas nós fizemos a nossa
Agora
parte.
não posso fazer.
Só pode estar a gozar então.
E depois a nota vai ser tipo nossa ou...
Se vocês não fizerem, a gente não mostra.
Ok, espera aí, então temos aqui um problema sério. É que não podes fazer a tua parte, nós juntamos aqui e ficas fora. E chungas só tu. Agora o que é que me dizes?
Porque é um trabalho de grupo.
Okay, so you get a sense of what's going on, right?
They were good because they have a lot of
Okay, okay. And you can get angry immediately, but then quickly calm down, and you're going to solve the problem. Okay. The issue is, it's going to be difficult to solve. So the first thing is you say, it's at home. Okay, and you say.
Or we could team up together and try all of us three do his part.
Well, eventually that's what you're going to do. That's the end of it. That's the end of it. But in the meantime, you're going to ask. You're going to say. You say, look, I did it. I left it at home. I'm sorry. And you would say, is somebody at home? They could send it to us by email. You say, no one's home. You say, do you have it on? Do you guys have a cloud or something? Yeah. Yes. So do you have it on the cloud? Say no. So you come up with ideas, but they don't work. No, it's not on the cloud. Well, does anybody have a car? And you say, yeah, I have a car. But you say, I live too far away, we'll never get back in time, and she doesn't accept late. And so you keep coming up with these ideas, and you keep figuring out why they can't work. So that's the idea. Then, at the end, you go, well, do you remember what you wrote? And you go, yeah, I think I can. I said, look, we've got 1 hour. It won't be a 20, but we maybe can get like a 14 or 15. It's better than a 0. Let's go to the computer room and type this up. And then you say, let's go. Okay. So it's okay to get mad right at the beginning, but then quick, calm down, and solve the problem. Okay. Okay. Does that sound annoying?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, you're used to it. All right. Same thing. They have an assignment due in an hour, and they were dividing up the work. They come here, and they're going to staple it together. Okay? I'm going to get under the table.
Bem, pessoal, tenho aqui a minha parte, vocês terceira a vossa parte, podemos juntar tudo, deixar a sexta.
Não. Não dei aqui a minha, mas eu fiz.
Mas fizeste? Mas fizeste mesmo?
Fiz mesmo.
Mas o que é que se passa? Não
Esqueci. Esqueci de pôr aqui as folhas.
Mas ficou onde?
Em casa.
Certeza?
Mas fizeste mesmo?
Fiz mesmo, fiz.
E há alguma maneira que tipo, alguém me enviar por e-mail? Tens alguém em casa?
Nós estamos em está lá.
Ok.
Então, e não tens na Google Drive? Não tens uma cópia, nem numa pena?
Pá, sério, o que é que vamos fazer agora?
Vocês têm carro? Não sei, onde é que moram?
Duas portas. Moro do outro lado.
Mas fizeste mesmo? Sabes o que é que fizeste?
Ainda te lembras assim os contornos mais ou menos como é que fizeste?
Se nós, se nós nos juntarmos agora, assim, tipo, já não vamos conseguir entregar aula, mas nem que seja 15, meia hora, ao menos não temos 10. Achas que conseguimos delinear?
Então dividimos os três, vamos tentar então fazer e entregar a última parte. É melhor que termos de ver, não é?
Então olha, bora lá.
They seem to have less practice. So.
Okay. Now it's on you guys. Okay. I want you to tell me, what did you see? Let's start off with the first time. What were they doing? What was going on?
Well, he missed his responsibility.
So we know that, but tell me more of what you actually observed happening.
Well, they were discussing about doing the ladies.
Were they just discussing the first time? Would you describe that as, oh yeah, they're just having a discussion? Or what else? What would you describe it as? Argument or confrontation? So we could write confrontation down. What else? What did you observe? Feelings? Arrogance. Anger. Deceit. How do you spell that? I got to tell you, you guys are better spellers of English than we are. How do you spell deceit? Is I? There's not two C's, is there? All right. Even if it's wrong, we're going with it. What else did you see?
Trump style.
What's that?
Trump style. What? Trump? Donald Trump style.
Oh. Does that fit?
No.
Yeah, that goes with arrogance. Right.
Instead of deceit, you can put deception. Maybe deception.
Now, I will actually write what students tell me almost always. Because so what if they swear? You know what? They're doing it anyway. And at that moment, I'm not trying to teach them, well, in a professional conversation, you would not swear. What I am trying to teach them at this point is, you can say anything at all to me, and I will be okay with it. I will tell you when I'm not okay with it. But it creates a level of trust between us that is often missing in our classes. And it allows me to get to that thing called honesty. If I am asking students to change their entire life habits, beliefs, attitudes, and mature, we have got to get to a level of honesty where I can hold up a mirror and she actually evaluates that mirror and decides whether or not that's true. And then next, do I want to change it? Okay, so yeah, we've got a whole lot of these, right? We could go on for a while. How about the other one? What did you observe in the second one?
Disbelief.
Disbelief? We would have that over here too, right? And I had no idea what they were saying for the most part, right? So,
Be honest.
I told them speak. Just anyway, I apologize that I do not speak Portuguese. I speak Spanish and English, but not Portuguese. But how long did they have this disbelief?
The first.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put after this short time. Okay. What else did you observe? Solution. Cooperation. Team work. Oh, I love that. Compromise. Did they solve the problem? Tell me about Ish. Because, go ahead. But see, this is, can I pick on you? He doesn't know what the problem is. He thinks he does, but he doesn't. Here's why. I cannot do anything about the fact that he forgot it at this time. So the real problem is, I do not have it, and I have exactly 1 hour to complete it. That's the problem. It has nothing to do with I forgot it. That's a separate issue. So they were very clear on it, and they were focused on those constraints. What are potential solutions? I assume they said things like, can somebody send it to us? Do you have it on the cloud? Can somebody drive and get it? No, I live too far. And so on and so on. And then finally they go, okay, here's what we're left with. The problem is this. Now, can we solve it? So, do you want to change your opinion? It's okay if you don't.
No, if they said, okay, you have to deliver at this time, maybe we can't deliver at this time, maybe this time with a bit.
Okay. I don't know what they said, so I don't know. Yeah.
It was more of that focus.
Okay, so, were they working together? Yes. Isn't that what we want them to do? Okay, so here's, what else did you observe? Anything else? Trust. Wow. Wow. Truth. Which person do you believe? Which person do you believe? That's where he sat the first time. So, do you believe this guy when he tells you something? And the other time he was sitting over here, going over there. Which person do you believe? This guy admitted what he failed to do.
I believed him.
And you believed him. Over there, I don't even know if he did it. He never said I didn't do it, but I don't know if he didn't.
That's
Thanks.
what I mentioned about trust.
Yeah.
If they don't trust him,
Yeah.
they would never do that solution.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And did they actually get to the point where he said, you know what I'm like, why didn't you do my part? I told him if they wanted to do that, they could. So he turns it around and blames them. All right, so this is good. Let's take a look at what's going on the left-hand side. Case 1. Argument, confrontation, arrogance, emotions, deceit, being a bully, being an asshole, being disbelief, etc., etc. Can you tell me some generalized words of what's going on there? Lack of responsibility is what you guys think. Okay, was he making excuses for his behavior? Oh, okay. What did he say? Tell me some stuff he said. Oh, I don't have your context. That's an excuse.
That was not the excuse not to do it. It was the excuse not to tell the others.
Okay, right. But still, that was an excuse.
I didn't do it.
All right.
Because I remember he didn't give any excuse for not doing it.
Okay, I'm going to write that down.
I didn't tell anything, and then he said, I didn't have time.
I didn't have time. That's an excuse. So there was some making excuses in there. What were they doing about him? They should have killed him. Several times.
Painful way.
Were they complaining about him?
No. That was a complaint. I know that. And if they complain, it would be much worse.
Were they blaming him?
Just a little bit.
I don't know what they were doing if they weren't doing any of these.
You have to trust us.
I'm going to get a translator for that. So here's what I did. I normally don't do it this way because I want to give you an easy way for you to teach it. This is not what most faculty would do. I used to do this, but I came up with simpler ways to do it. But here we have, in case 1, there's making excuses about my behavior. I'm complaining about other people's behavior. I'm blaming other people. So here's what I want to ask a question. Where in any of these things that you saw happen, were they solving the problem? Never. Over here, for the most part, yeah, they were off, they were angry maybe at the beginning, but were they mostly solving the problem? Was the first idea potential solution? Did it work? Did they say, was somebody at the house, could they send it? A potential solution? No. It didn't work. Do you have it on the cloud? No. It didn't work. So what I want you to do is tell me what was going on here in generic terms. The first thing they did was they defined the problem. They defined the problem. Number two, were they not brainstorming? And then they evaluated it and determined whether or not it would work and went on and on. Now, normally when we think of brainstorming, we come up with a whole bunch of ideas and then evaluate them later. Here, because they're so simple, you can evaluate them on the fly. Then, they picked best, did it. Did it work? Yeah. What if it didn't work? You iterate on this solution. What is this called where you clearly define the problem, brainstorm on potential solutions, evaluate it, pick the best one, do it. If it does not work, you do something different. It's called, well, we have a term for it. We call it the engineering design process. That's it. So here's what I want to do. I want to make a distinction between this behavior and this behavior. Does this behavior mean you will solve the problem? No. Maybe not. We don't have anybody on Mars. We don't have cure for cancer. But what is the likelihood of solving the problem here versus the likelihood of solving the problem over here? This is fundamentally a solution process. It's a problem-solving process. This over here, I'm going to call it this. I'm going to give this a name. I gave that a name, engineering design process. This one I'm going to call victim. This is victim behavior. It means I have no interest in solving the problem. I like to blame other people. I like to complain. I even may blame myself. But what I'm doing is ineffective. In general, this whole category is simply repeating ineffective behavior. You're blaming. When was the last time blaming got something done? You know what? It does get things done sometimes. But it's just not effective. So here's an example of ineffective behavior, repeating behavior that does not work. How many of you are parents? How many of you are willing to admit your child is messy? We got exact same number. How many of you do not like it? So, okay. How many of you tell your child to clean it up? How many of your children keep it clean? All right. So, who point to someone you want me to pick on? Oh, you're close. How old's your child?
8 and 5.
8 and 5. You're too young. All right, so we're going to pretend with her. Okay. So, do you tell your 5-year-old to clean up the room? Yes. Or you do. When did you start telling that 5-year-old?
When?
Yeah, ballpark. What age? Like 2, they probably didn't have to clean up much, right?
Not to clean up, but to
Clean up the room.
organize.
Yeah, okay. When? What age?
As soon as she started to paint the
3?
walls and Yes.
3. So let's say 3. We're going to fast forward. We're talking about, let's say, clean up your room or clean up whatever mess you made. We're going to fast forward to that child leaving home and going to university at 18. Around that time? Okay. Her room. How often do you tell her to clean her room?
Every time that she leaves it.
Anytime she leaves it. Is that once a week, twice a week?
Depends on the week, but yes.
Oh, it's
Once
about
a week or two. Twice a week.
1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah.
If she has to tell her to clean it 1 to 2 times a week, do you think that the child is cleaning the room and keeping it clean? Obviously not. Or you wouldn't have to do it. So fast forward to 18. We now have, what did we say, 3? So now we have 15 years. 2 to 3 times a week. She is telling her child to clean up your room, clean up your mess, and keep it cleaned. And they're still not doing it. 15 times, or 2 to 3, let's say 2. 2 times, let's say you go on vacation and you don't care, so only 50. That's 100 times a year. 100 times 15.
1,500.
Can you stand up? She has been repeating this behavior 1,500 times.
Imagine.
And she still is not effective. And guess what she's going to do this week? The same thing.
That's why.
Now, can you come over here? Can you stand up?
Yes.
Would your mom tolerate that? No, here's a question.
Okay.
Does your mom do something similar to what this mom is doing that is totally ineffective?
No, my mom,
Nothing?
she said that it's my room and it's...
So here's what her mom, but is there something else? Is there something else, some other behavior, some other action that she's telling you to do and you kind of do it but don't do it?
No, I'm doing it.
God, she must be scared to death.
Or her mother.
All right, so once again, we're all going to her house to learn responsibility. This is called ineffective behavior. Here's what I would argue that would work better. Here's what you should do that will work better. It's just an idea. We're clearly defined the problem. You want the child to clean her room. And let's take the 8-year-old, okay? Because you don't want to do this in front of, you don't want to do this in front of the 3-year-old or the 5-year-old. So here's what she's going to do. It's just an idea. We're brainstorming. You draw a big circle on the wall. And then in it write bang, head, here. And you tell your son, I'm going to smack my head there until your room is clean. And you go over there and you start smacking your head against that wall. And maybe you get a little blood and say, I mean it. Go clean your room. And you got a little bit. And whatever you do, and then he goes and cleans his room, you say, that's going to happen every time. And then when you walk, you're not even going to say anything to him. You're going to grab him by the hand. Let's go look at your room. Oh, it's not clean. And whatever you do.
You are crazy, you know that?
You do not clean the blood off the wall. Do you think that child would clean his room? Yeah. I don't recommend this. But the idea is to do something different. She's got 15, and is there anyone here who is not a victim on a routine basis? And victim is defined only as making excuses, complaining, blaming, or doing any form of ineffective behavior. So, raise your hand if you are a victim frequently? Is it bad to be a victim? And over here, it's good to be, and I'll call this engineering design process. Let's fast forward on here so we actually get this information up. This is actually what I do, and I could talk to anybody about it.